To understand why the exact same story keeps happening, you have to look at the extremes. You can sit around a flickering campfire in the Kalahari Desert, or sit inside an air-conditioned multiplex watching the latest Marvel release. In both places, separated by thousands of years and completely different languages, you are being handed the exact same narrative blueprint. The motifs are identical. The hero who descends into the dark and returns with a psychological configuration they didn't have when they left. The great flood that wipes the board clean so the world can rebuild. The trickster who shatters the rules that were quietly suffocating everyone. Or the sleeping giant waiting for the precise moment of maximum need to wake up. For a long time, we've written these overlaps off. We categorize the ancient versions as primitive science, stories invented by people who lacked meteorology to explain why it rained. We treat the modern versions as intellectual property, a public domain library of plots to be remixed into profitable entertainment. But that assumes these stories are about the outside world. When you line them all up, the overlap is too precise to be an accident of history. These myths are a precise anatomical map of your interior. They chart human psychology with such exactness that every isolated culture arrived at the same cartography. We can trace this map back to the oldest written story we possess, the Epic of Gilgamesh. Inscribed on clay tablets 4,000 years ago, this is the first time human beings preserved their internal architecture in a physical medium. When Gilgamesh loses his companion, Enkidu, he unravels. He stops sleeping. He bargains with the gods. He refuses to accept the finality of the body. His journey reads as a clinical inventory of human grief. He travels to the edge of the known world, searching for immortality, driven by the desperate hope that if he can defeat death, his loss becomes a temporary interruption rather than a permanent reality. He fails. Instead of a magic cure, a barmaid at the edge of the sea tells him to go home, to eat, and to look at the child holding his hand. That advice was placed on a clay tablet 40 centuries ago to be carried across time. It is an answer packed into the structure of the story, waiting for the moment you needed to hear it in your own grief. You can find this same diagnostic precision in the Sanskrit of the Rig Veda. The text describes Indra, the thunder god, battling a massive serpent named Vritra. Vritra is coiled around the mountains, hoarding all the water, preventing the rivers from flowing and the land from growing. Vritra functions as a diagnostic tool. He represents the specific mechanism of psychological avoidance, coiled around your internal mountains and preventing your own growth from flowing. He is the anxiety or the habit sitting on your own internal waters, keeping what should move from moving. The Vedic sages who composed those lines were studying the human interior. They were diagnosing the exact mechanisms we use to hold ourselves back, recording the symptoms long before modern therapy even had a name for them. The American mythologist Joseph Campbell studied these global overlaps and identified a persistent pattern he called the monomyth. It is a single, robust narrative arc that isolated cultures independently mapped out because they were all trying to answer the same questions about how humans navigate crisis and change. But it was Carl Gustav Jung who gave this map its true scale. Jung realized the gods and monsters populating these stories live inside us. They are psychological complexes, structures that have grown so large they operate autonomously, dictating our behavior and consuming our energy whether we want them to or not. Look at the most famous mythological obstacle, the dragon hoarding gold in a dark cave. Jung called this the shadow. It represents the parts of your personality that your family or your culture decided were unacceptable, your unexpressed anger, your secret desires, your shame. Because those pieces of you were exiled, they went underground, and exiled things do not disappear, they grow in the dark. The hero's journey suggests that the true fight is not to slay the beast for glory, but to confront the shadow and recover the gold it guards, the vitality and wholeness that you surrendered just to be deemed acceptable by the society around you. In the ancient world, you didn't simply hear these stories, you lived them. For 2,000 years, the Greeks conducted the Eleusinian Mysteries, a ritual where initiates physically and psychologically acted out Persephone's descent into the underworld. This was an active physiological experience. Initiates moved through the darkness of the Telesterion to experience a simulated death. Plato and Cicero attended these rites and emerged describing the dissolution of their deepest anxieties, specifically the fear of death itself. Modern filmmakers like George Lucas correctly identified that this structure produces an intense emotional resonance. But while the ancient ritual required the participant to physically and psychologically endure the descent, the cinema seat allows the viewer to remain safe. You receive the emotional hit of a resolution without ever having to face a personal risk. The technology was severed from its purpose. It became a vicarious experience where you watch someone else transform while you remain as you were. We now live in a culture that pays a monthly subscription to watch heroes face their shadows on a screen, while we refuse to face the descents in our own lives. Let's take away the screen. Your situation is structurally identical to the myths we've been tracking. You are at a specific point on a map human beings have been drawing for millennia. That part of yourself you are most afraid of, the rage or the self-destructive impulse you keep locked in the basement, functions like the monster Tiamat from Babylonian myth. Tiamat was a creature of chaotic saltwater, and the gods used her body to build the world. Your internal monster is raw, unformed material that you need in order to build your next way of being. To cross the threshold and use that material, you need a guide. But the myth insists that the guide never comes from the safe, approved institutions of the ordinary world. The true guide is a trickster, or an outcast, or an unexpected crisis, something from the very margins you've been trained to avoid, because only someone who knows the dark can help you navigate it. The threshold into the extraordinary world is sitting in the exact direction you have spent years making very reasonable excuses not to look, and the monster waiting down there is holding the exact energy you are missing. But here is the final secret the map has been trying to tell you. You are afraid of the descent into the dark, but if you look closely at your own life, you have already been to the underworld. You just called it a breakdown or a failure. You went into the darkness, the ordinary world collapsed, and you survived it. The absolute rule of the mythological structure is that when the hero finally emerges from the underworld, they do not come up empty-handed. They are required to carry something back to the surface, a boon or a treasure that the ordinary world desperately needs to heal. What did you bring back? Think about the specific capacity for compassion or the resilience that you only developed when your life fell apart. That is the gold from the dragon's cave. You have been treating it as a scar from a rough patch, but it is actually the specific wisdom that you earned. These stories were waiting in the clay tablets because they knew you were coming. The map has always had your name on it. It is time to stop watching heroes take the journey on a screen. Claim what you earned in the darkness, and finally return to the world.